Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I am 9th house Jupiter and today we're going to be talking about Venus in Virgo. We're going to be having a look at what does a Venus in Virgo value, how they are in relationships, what they need to feel fulfilled, and also what their relationship with money may be like. Now, to have a good understanding of what this placement means, you need to firstly have a good understanding of what Venus is all about and what Virgo is all about. So Venus, this is the planet of love and beauty and peace and harmony. It's how we relate to people. Venus is our values. It's a relationship indicator and it's also a money indicator. It's what we appreciate. Venus is a really important planet to understand in our chart. Now Virgo is such a pure energy. This is the feminine mutable earth sign that's ruled by Mercury and represents the 6th house in a birth chart. The 6th house, this is the house of health and service. It's a super productive house. It's a Mercury ruled house, so it's about communicating, thinking and communicating. It's also the house of pets. So when we add all those things together, we start to get a bit of a bigger picture of what Venus in Virgo might be about. House placements and aspects do matter. For example, a Venus conjunct Jupiter versus a Venus square Saturn is going to tell a very different story. And the reason why I say that the house placements matter is because, for example, if you had Venus in Virgo in the 3rd house, then we're talking about a double Mercury energy here, because Mercury rules Virgo and the 3rd house is also ruled by Mercury, sign of Gemini. So it's double Mercury energy there. So you're going to be a really communicative person and maybe even make your money through the way that you think and communicate, basically. For example, if you had your Venus in Virgo in the 7th house, then the way that you are when you're in a relationship with somebody, you are going to be focused on improving, say, your significant other. The way that you're going to make money is going to be through a team or through your significant other, and it could be in the fields of law or contracts, for example. Just a little examples there of why these things matter. And also, if your Venus is in the 4th, 8th, or especially the 12th house, you may not resonate so much because these are the more hidden houses. But if you are a Venus in Virgo, it's also going to make you one of 5 sun signs. You're either going to be a Cancer sun, a Leo sun, a Virgo sun, a Libra sun, or a Scorpio sun. And I will give a little bit of a breakdown of how each of those combinations may play out later on in the video. Check the timestamps. But for now, let's get into it. What's it like to be a Venus in Virgo? What are some of the things that somebody with a Venus in Virgo might value? They're going to have a lot of value in efficiency and improvement in general. Being busy, being helpful, being of service. This is a natural thing to a Venus in Virgo archetype. They like to help other people. Communication, they're going to value the use of their mind and their intellect. We're talking about a Mercury-led Venus sign, so they like intelligence, they love using their mind, and they like to understand how other people's minds work too. As I said, being busy, just getting on with the daily stuff. They're going to value having a routine, having an order, having things in place. They're also going to value the truth. Virgo archetypes, I find, are very truthful. We're talking about Mercury here, and a sign that's hyper observant. They say what they see. They can spot little things that they know that can be improved. So they are quite truthful with what they see. And again, they value being observant. They spot the little things. They notice. The devil is in the detail, as they say, but the little things might be one of your life mottos. The little things do matter. An important thing to point out here is that Venus is classed as being in its fall when in the sign of Virgo, and that's because it's in the opposite sign to where it's exalted. Venus is exalted in Pisces. It's its favourite place to be in the chart. So when a planet is in the opposite sign to its favourite place to be, its exaltation, it's automatically classed as being in its fall. And it's usually because the planet, the symbolism of the sign doesn't necessarily match with the symbolism of the planet. There's a little bit of conflicting messages going on there. So let's think about it. So you've got Venus. We've just spoke through some of the Venus traits, but Venus is about our pleasures, overindulging. Venus wants to chill and relax and just overindulge and not stress. Whereas the sign of Virgo is a very over analytical sign. It's a very busy sign. It's about the daily task of responsibilities, the daily grind of hard work and practicality and logic. And of course, Venus representing, one of the things it represents is love. And so love isn't logical. Love isn't necessarily practical. If it was, it probably wouldn't exist. But in terms of relationships, a relationship's not meant to feel like work, which is why it falls in the sign of Virgo. However, I am not going to be that astrologer that puts a a big downer and makes it into a big doom and gloom thing if you have a placement that is classed in its full or its exile. For example, my Venus is in Scorpio, so my Venus is actually classed as being in its exile, but I'm still here, I live with it and I make it work, and so do you. And there's lots of positive things that can also manifest from having this placement, and astrology is just another tool for you Venus and Virgo archetypes to learn more about yourself in terms of your personality and the relationship you have with close people and money. You can probably understand, have a better understanding through astrology. Basically, it might give you a little bit of solace, the information you found through learning yourself through your natal chart. And also we get to be different energies anyway when we have progressions and transits. I'll touch on that at the end of the video, because for some of you, your Venus sign will progress into another sign. Let's have a look now what a Venus and Virgo archetype might need to feel fulfilled in a relationship, or if you're trying to get to know somebody with this placement, what sort of attributes are they looking for in a partner? Now, as a rule of thumb, you're going to be looking for a Virgo type relationship and Virgo archetype people. Obviously, each Venus and Virgo person is going to express differently depending on what the sun sign is. The sun is our expression, and of course the rest of the natal chart. But as a rule of thumb, going to be attracted to Virgo relationships. So somebody who is conscientious and dutiful and thoughtful and intellectual and kind and helpful and knows about being of service and understands the importance of details and the little things. And also, let's have a quick look first of all at the modality and element of this sign, because they are the basic ingredients that make up the recipe of this Venus placement. So it is an Earth Venus first and foremost. Now, Earth deals with being practical and logical. Earth doesn't like to waste time, especially Virgo, especially Venus in Virgo here in this Earth sign, because Virgos are busy people. Virgo archetypes have things to do. But Earth Venuses are usually quite strong people. They are not necessarily the most outwardly emotionally expressive people. They're quite reserved and will hold that back because it is feminine. Earth is feminine, so more introverted in terms of energy. Now, unless a Venus in Virgo archetype can see a practical reason, really, and a logical reason for the relationship that's going to have a practical outcome, that's going to improve their life in some way, and they know they can bring improvement to others, and they won't just jump into a relationship for any reason whatsoever. This is a very observant sign. They will take their time and watch first before they move. But Earth is concerned with practicality and stability, and because it is a Mercury-led Venus sign, so we are talking about mixing the mind with the physical of the Earth. So Venus and Virgo archetypes like to see things, they like to see action in the real life. They're very much realists. They live in the real world. Opposite is Pisces, who live in a fantasy land. Virgo do live in the real world, so they like to see tangible actions and results in a relationship, so something to be mindful of. This is a mutable Venus sign, so with any mutable energy, it's not consistent, it's fluid, it's flexible, it's adaptable. So Venus and Virgo archetypes will be a different person 3 years on than who they were when you met them at the beginning of a relationship, because this is a sign that's focused very much, you're going to hear me say this a couple of times throughout the video, but they're focused on self-improvement. They always want to do better. They want to see progress, basically progression. So they're going to change. It is a changeable energy. I would say it's probably the least mutable out of the mutable signs because it is Earth. Obviously, the other elements, fire, water and air, is a lot less easy to contain than Earth. But it is still mutable. So you do have a very adaptable nature. These are very adaptable people, but they can have a changeable personality as well. If we look at the Mercury aspect of this Venus sign, it's going to show straight away that Venus and Virgo archetypes are about communication. They are going to need good communication with their partner. They're really good listeners. Venus and Virgo archetypes are very good at listening, and they're paying attention to every little detail that you say. They're watching your mannerisms when you speak. And they also need that in a partner. They need to feel that someone's listening, not pretending to listen. They want to know that they've been listened to and they've paid attention to the details, because this is a thoughtful archetype, and they like to build a mental database, like a mental book of facts about their partner and what their partner likes, and what their partner does and what makes them tick. We're talking about Mercury, the mind. They have a need to understand their partner's mind. And of course, intelligence. There's a level of intelligence that you're going to need from a partner, in the sense that you could look at it as borderline sapiosexual. Now, that means sapiosexual is when you're attracted to intelligence, which is something that is linked with the air Venuses. So, you know, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, class as sapiosexuals, but this is a Mercury-led Venus sign, so you could borderline put the sapiosexual title on this Venus. However, it is Earth, so the physical, which we'll get into the physical appearance in a little bit, but the physical appearance is also important here. That's why I say borderline sapiosexual, because the physical does actually matter as well. Now, with it being Mercury means they're hyper observant. Virgo archetypes do not miss a trick. They are always watching. Trust me when I say to you, they are always watching. They want to learn. This is a sign that always wants to learn. It's inquisitive by nature. Also naturally intuitive. The opposite sign to them is Pisces. Pisces are very intuitive. Virgo, Mercury here, very intuitive. They can pick up on little things, especially in terms of communication. They'll pick up on tone. They can sniff out a lie. It's not easy to lie to a Venus in Virgo person, especially if you've got a Scorpio sun. But these people are just hyper observant. So in a relationship, expect them to always be watching you out the side of their peripherals. You know what I mean. This is probably the 25th Venus in Virgo video that you're watching, just because this is a sign that likes to research and understand and analyse. It's Mercury, it's the mind, it likes to understand, it likes to learn, and it likes to communicate what it knows. Also, you do like to be known for your mind, so just expect, if you're with a Venus in Virgo person, they are very analytical people and they like an intelligent conversation. But as I said, the physical is also an important factor here, because they're a very observant, watchful sign. So, and they, quite similar to Venus and Leo actually, Venus and Virgo do take care with their appearance. They do have pride in their appearance. They will spend time on how they look, putting themselves together. There's different reasons behind it, but Virgo definitely does carry more of a nervous energy to it. It is Mercury ruled. Mercury does rule the nervous system, so slightly more anxious there, and a slightly more worrisome energy out of other signs in the zodiac. So might worry what people think, so it makes them more image conscious. So when they go out, they like to be put together, they like to look nicely, or even if they don't want to look that nice that day, they'll still look like a nice mess. If that makes sense. So in their partner, they like their partner to be put together. They will like you to sort of dress nicely and know how to act in public, have manners, be polite, not loud, brash behaviour, not something that's going to bring down their vibe. They're going to want someone to level up with, someone who they're proud to be next to. They are going to notice things like bad hygiene or weird mannerisms, because it is a bit more of a nitpicky sign, critical. I'm sure you've heard this 25 times, but it is more critical energy. And not every single Venus in Virgo is going to really criticise their partner, absolutely everything. It could actually be the case that you just attract people to you that are heavily critical on you. And as I said, there will be a fair few of you that do like to criticise and nitpick at things. You're quite fussy. But for other Venus and Virgo archetypes, like especially the ones of you out there who have some Libra energy, who are more balanced and very focused on relating to people and not hurting people's feelings in that way, it's more of a constructive criticism that they'll give. And, you know, you can't always say everything that you see. You can, obviously, but it's exhausting work. I can't say every little tiny thing that I see when I'm reading a chart. I would just focus on the main themes that are there, because it would take hours to go through absolutely everything, but also you don't have to say everything that you see. So be mindful of that in a relationship, to not be overcritical, and also be mindful you're not attracting people that are too overcritical for you. Make sure you have your boundaries up with expectations on the criticism that you receive back to themselves, because typically Virgo archetype doesn't really like to receive criticism, and it's because they're already quite self-critical on themselves. They already know their flaws, don't really want to hear about it, you know, from everyone around them, what their flaws are. But you know, that works the other way around as well. Other people are already probably quite aware of their flaws and probably don't always need it picked out to them or pointed out to them, sorry. This is a sign that is focused on improvement and self-improvement. So Venus and Virgo archetypes like to do better and improve themselves, and when they're in a relationship with somebody, they're always going to want their partner to do better. They're going to want them to improve themselves. So ideally, if you can be around somebody who gets that whole concept of self-improvement without you having to nag and baby somebody, someone who understands about being productive and doing better and has goals that they can work and achieve on with you, would be absolute gold, because Venus and Virgo archetypes can sometimes see a relationship sort of like a project, and you are the project manager of that. So you've got a schedule of progression for the relationship at the speed it should go and when this should happen, XYZ. Perfectionists, of course, this is a sign that deals with perfection, and another one of the reasons why Venus falls here is because relationships, love, isn't perfect. It can't be perfect. So you might sometimes be looking for really specific things and really specific qualities in a person, and that obviously leads over to you having quite high standards just in general. Now, it's actually another similar trait to the Venus and Leo archetypes. They have very high standards, so do you. And it's because you spot everything, you see, you already know the things that you don't want, you already know things you're not looking for, but you can't really have a list of like 45 things that this specific person must have, otherwise it's a no-go. You might just be setting up standards that are basically impossible for somebody to reach. But it's because the morals do come from a deep-seated place, and this isn't Earth Venus. They are looking for long-term commitment. They want things to last long-term, and they're not going to waste their time. So this is why. But I am a firm believer personally in having high standards, but I am also a believer in compromise. So just keep that in mind. Pisces, the opposite sign to you, is all about compromise. So something you might just need to incorporate a little bit into your life sometimes. Virgo, of course, rules the 6th house, as I've said, in the birth chart, which is about the day-to-day routine and day-to-day work life. So ideally, you're looking for a partner who can fit in with your day-to-day routine and your day-to-day schedule. And this is one of the great things I do think about the Venus and Virgo placement, is that you guys usually take the time to make sure that your potential partner is a good match and fit in terms of the day-to-day. And you will look for, when you're getting to know them more, how can I slot in with their day, and are they going to slot in with mine? And if more people actually considered the practical matters of day-to-day life, because that's very important in a relationship, maybe more relationships might be a little bit more long-lasting and stable if they'd worked out the day-to-day aspects first. But it's, again, they're going to be looking for consistency in that partner, someone who can show up for them every single day. This is what we're talking about. A Venus and Virgo archetype will want to incorporate their partner into everything that they're doing. They will take them into consideration. And Venus in Gemini is the other Mercury-led Venus sign. They're all about words and talking, and people can be distracted by, someone with Venus in Gemini can be completely overwhelmed by the way someone talks in their mind. Whereas with you guys, because it is still a Mercury sign, so words are important, but as I've been saying, Earth, the physical, you need to see. You want to see tangibly that someone can be consistent, not make a little bit of effort for 1 month and then give off. No. Now, Venus is also, of course, how we relate to people and our love language. So in the way in which a Venus and Virgo archetype relates to people is usually by being of help and of service to other people. It's just a natural thing that they feel that they can do, and they know that they're very hard workers. They're able to show willingness. They like to show a self-sacrificing nature. They like to relate to people through the little things. They like to relate to people by showing them the use of their mind. They've spotted something and that they can offer improvement. Sometimes Venus and Virgo archetypes might give unsolicited advice. But it comes from a good place because it's Mercury, the mind, they can see. And Mercury is also about communication, so once they see something, they will want to communicate out what they've seen, if they can improve it and be better, and especially when it comes to close personal relationships. With this placement, there's a chance that you could easily meet your partner through the day-to-day stuff that you do, just little day-to-day mundane tasks like being at work. It could actually be a colleague. You met your partner at work, for example, or while you're out doing your shopping or out taking the dog for a walk, for example, but just out doing the day-to-day things. But it is really important that you find a partner who is encouraging and supportive and thoughtful and helpful and kind, and who can take care of the little details, who can take the pressure off you, like help sorting the children out, for example, help going to do the food shopping, cleaning up. We haven't even touched upon that, but obviously you need a partner who understands to just not be an absolute mess, unorganised, complete and utter state of a person that doesn't get routine and doesn't get cleanliness or hygiene or care about keeping the house clean. Like, these are all going to be red flags for a Venus in Virgo archetype. But make sure you're not staying with people just because you kind of feel sorry for them, that what would they do without you, because Venus in Virgo is such a helpful energy. You bring a lot of improvements and a lot of benefits to other people's lives, but make sure that you're not staying in something that isn't fulfilling you, because you are not just here to solely fix people. Of course, that is one of the beautiful qualities that you have, but it's not the only one. And make sure there's not someone who's just kind of taking from you and not giving. You want someone who consistently show up for you every day, someone who you can fit into your everyday routine. Let's have a quick look now at the different sun sign and Venus sign combinations, because this is a very interesting thing to look at in a natal chart. So let's start off. If you've got a Cancer sun but your Venus is in Virgo, then this is double feminine energy. Both signs are feminine. They are both introverted and naturally a very sensitive person, because both signs are sensitive, especially if anyhow you've actually got a feminine moon sign as well. It's very sensitive by nature. Now, both signs are concerned with helping people and nurturing and caring. So you like natural care. You're a natural caregiver. You like to help and you love to be needed. Both of these signs like to be needed. And the Cancer energy in itself is usually quite a romantic when it comes to love, you know, very caught up in their emotions and their feelings. But having your Venus in Virgo gives you a bit of grounding and more of a practical and logical approach when it comes to your relationships. So you are going to want the partner that can be emotionally aware and available, yes, but who also cares about the little things and cares about the practicality and does the little things to show up for you every day. You're probably going to very much like going out for food and having food, and probably a link between healthy eating here somewhere. You might be the type that encourages your partner to eat clean, eat organic, eat just a cleaner lifestyle, basically. Both Cancer and Virgo are also concerned with being quite money savvy. They are not silly spenders. They're very, very clever when it comes to their money and how they make money, and they like that stability. Stability is going to be a key factor here, having the Earth, Venus and Cancer, Sun sign. Cancer is all about stability. So in a partnership, you really are looking for a stable, committed relationship. Cancerians, very committed. Virgo, Venus, it's Earth, is also very, very, very committed. And also in a partner, somebody who, of course, knows about cleanliness and keeping the home, because Virgos loves to keep things clean and Cancer is about the home. So you couldn't have someone coming in and just completely disrupting the home environment. You are going to want a family and to build for the long term. If you're a Leo sun and your Venus is in Virgo, this is an interesting combination to look at, because of course the sun rules Leo. The sun loves to be in Leo, and you carry all those natural Leo charming traits, loud and proud, etc. However, it is more of an introverted energy, so behind closed doors in your relationships you might come across as a slightly different person. It is more introverted than the extroverted Leo sun that people are used to seeing from you. Now, again, similar to Cancer sun, Virgo, Venus, Leo sun are also romantics at heart, the fifth house of romance. Leo's the fifth house in the birth chart of romance. So romantics at heart, and again, having your Virgo and Venus will give you some practicality and grounding with that when it comes to a relationship. Both signs have ridiculously high standards. Leo have high standards of expectations of themselves and others. So does the Virgo archetype. So your guys' lists of people who you're looking for in a partner, you are probably pretty picky, and the physical appearance will be of more importance here. Leo is more of a bougie energy, you know, and Again, image conscious, both signs are concerned with image, so you probably have got some ideas on how your partner looks physically as well, ideally, as well as the mindset as well. And usually Leos, it's very spontaneous and let loose energy, but when it comes to your relationships, it's probably like a plan of action. You really like consistency and grounding, and someone of course you can incorporate into your day-to-day. Also, the Leo archetypes are very, very generous by nature. They have a very, very big heart, and of course Venus in Virgo, as we know, these are caring, nurturing people and like to help other people anyway, so mixing that generosity with wanting to help, I think, would make for a very generous person. But I think freedom actually and independence is going to be quite important here, because Leo is a fixed sign, is a fixed sun sign in expression, and fixed signs do need an element of independence and freedom. And Virgo, as we've said, we've already mentioned this, Virgo can be okay by themselves, can like time alone, so you guys might crave some independence whilst being in a relationship. If you're a Virgo sun and your Venus is in Virgo, then this is definitely an interesting combination to look at here, because we are talking about the sign of the self, which is the sun, mixing with the sign of others, which is Venus. So, and both Venus and the sun are in the sign of Virgo here, which is the sign of service to other people. So you may have found in your life a slight bit of a struggle maybe to focus on the self so much, and maybe have always felt obligated to other people. But this is double earth energy, very, very grounded person, very practical person. You lead life with a logical, rational, clear point of view. You like to have a clear perspective. This is double feminine energy that we're talking about here, so more introverted, especially, as I said, with the Cancer, Sun, Virgo and Venus, especially if you've got a feminine moon on top of that, then a very sensitive nature that you've actually got. Intelligence is going to be priority here in a relationship. Honestly, you guys really need a good intellectual and a good conversationalist, someone who's able to communicate well with you, because you're a very good communicator, you're a very hard worker, highly adaptable. This is mutable, muck mutable. You're a very adaptable person. You can roll your sleeves up and get something done. People with this combination are going to be more focused on health in some way, being more health conscious and in more to cleanliness, basically, and well-being, just health and wealth in general. They will be more focused on that and won't really like someone who's unorganised and someone who doesn't have a plan and have a routine ever. And you guys will probably be focused on bringing the best out in your partner that you absolutely can. You will be pushing for improvement with yourself and with your partner, and will probably be completely put off by loud, brash behaviour. And quite similar to the Leo Sun, Venus in Virgo, the Virgo Suns and Venus in Virgo people, very high standards also when it comes to a partner. You guys, you've got a checklist. You probably put your partner to the test before you even entertain them. Ask 15,000 questions, for example, but you are very inquisitive about your partner. You really do want to know a lot about them, and make sure, you really do want to make sure that the relationship is going to make practical and logical sense for it to continue. Otherwise, I can't see you guys wasting your time. If you're a Libra sun and your Venus is in Virgo, then it's definitely important for you guys to understand this combination here, because Libra, the Libra sun, obviously the sun sign for you guys is in Libra, and the sun is classed as being in its full when it's in Libra, because the sun exalts the sign of Aries, which is the opposite sign to Libra. And then of course Venus, and your Venus is in Virgo, but Venus is the ruling planet of Libra, and your Venus sign is also in its full here in Virgo. And so both signs, Libra and Virgo, are concerned with other people. Libra is all about other people and relating to other people, and Virgo is of course being of service to other people. So you may have felt throughout your lifetime potentially that you have struggled to focus on the self a little bit, and maybe felt obliged to other people around you. But you know, aesthetics is going to be more important here, kind of like the Leo, Sun, Venus in Virgo people. For the Libra archetypes, we are talking about the fine arts and Venus ruled topics, so beauty, love, lust and all of that. So you probably are going to prefer a partner that is a little bit more easy on the eye. But communication is going to be absolutely key here, because Libra of course is an air sign. Air is about thinking and communicating, and your Venus being in Virgo, which is Mercury led, and Mercury is also about thinking and communicating. So you guys are really effective communicators. You're very, very clever with your words. As I said earlier on in the video, you were probably the less critical type of Venus and Virgo person, because you want to relate plate. You don't want to upset people for no reason whatsoever. You're going to prefer to probably go out to beautiful settings when you're with your partner, or if you're going out on a date, for example, something to do with like the arts and the theatre that you can talk about afterwards and critique every little thing that you saw, or a high-class restaurant somewhere more beautiful, for example, because the Libra Sun is extroverted, so you will feel more confident than maybe the typical things you hear about the Venus in Virgo just on itself as a placement, because that is introverted. Your sun sign is an extroverted sign, so you do feel that level, you do have a level of confidence in that sense. But when it comes to your relationships, a little bit more shyer in this area, and maybe just come across a little bit different behind closed doors than people kind of first see you as. When it comes to your relationships, a little bit more shy and reserved. Libra is of course a cardinal sign, which means it's very creative, very good at initiating, and Libra is linked with the fine arts, for example, so you guys are really able to bring your ideas, Libra, creative ideas, air sign, Mercury ruled, into the reality with your Venus in Virgo. You guys honestly must have super creative ideas that you can literally bring into the real life. And also I think you'd be pretty put off by someone who was really judgy, someone who was unfair, and just, again, that loud brash behaviour is just not your style. Like, you guys are about how you're seen, how you're perceived. You've got an image to uphold. If your sun sign is in Scorpio, this is definitely a spicy combination to look at. So they are both introverted energies, they are both feminine, and especially if you've got a feminine moon sign, take that into consideration, and more of a feminine nature and a very sensitive nature. Scorpio is sensitive, but secretly, and Virgo is sensitive as an archetype, so doubly sensitive nature here, but ridiculously inquisitive and observant. So Scorpio archetypes watch, they stare, they are known for watching and learning and taking everything in silence. They watch and learn. Virgo is very, very hyper observant. So when you're trying to get to know someone, you would have probably been watching them for a little while. You probably, you already know what their birth chart is, don't you? You already know what signs they are. So when you meet up with them, you're just checking that, do they come across like their chart? But yeah, so honesty is going to be key here for this sign, because Scorpios are about the truth, like the absolute truth. They need trust. Trust is very, very serious. Virgo also needs trust. Virgo also, as an archetype, carries a level of skepticism. So does Scorpio. So you're going to be naturally skeptical of people. It's going to take you a long time to kind of reveal maybe the more, because obviously you come with a lot of intenseness, but you might keep that reserved until you know you can fully trust that person to show that side of yourself. You might be a little bit more of a control freak really with these placements in a relationship, prefer to secretly be the dominating person, but you're definitely going to really need to see consistency. Scorpio is a fixed sign. Virgo's concerned with seeing consistency, so you need consistency from a person before you'll kind of open up and go there. People with this combination also probably go through a lot of changes in their relationships with people, because Scorpio is the sign linked with deep transformation and reform completely, and Virgo is also the sign, it's a mutable sign, and it's about improvement. So these people will change in a relationship with somebody, and super able to focus on the details. Scorpio has endurance. Scorpio will take its time to understand and learn something, and Virgo also likes to learn and understand things. So hyper observant mix. It's quite an intense combination of energies here. So when you're out and about, you probably do prefer to keep a low profile and are not going to be attracted to that loud, brash type person. Someone's really going to have to be able to go deep here. You're going to need an intellectual mind. Like, if that person is not intellectual enough and they haven't got any depth, and especially any emotional depth, I don't think that'll work. Let's have a look at what a Venus and Virgo archetype's relationship with money might be. Now, of course, Venus is not the only money indicator in a chart. And what you should be doing in terms of your job, of course, what's going on in your second house, sixth house, where are the rulers of those signs, how are they aspected, where's your MC, for example, and again, your moon sign, your day-to-day state, that also needs to be taken into consideration. But for the purposes of this video, let's have a look at it. So this is a mutable Venus sign, so a very adaptable person when it comes to work. They have a very adaptable approach to life. These are very hard workers. It's the house of day-to-day work. The type of people that can roll their sleeves up and get stuff done. They have an attitude towards money as they see it as stability. They know that money gets them where they want to be and allows them a level of comfortability. Because it is an Earth Venus, they are going to be quite money savvy and able to save money and understand the importance of saving, and are not going to be frivolous, impulsive spenders. There's going to have to be a logical and practical reason for them to spend, for example. And let's say you was a Venus in Virgo in the 6th house, so that a lot of the stuff that you might spend your spare income on might be with health-related products, something that promotes wellness and well-being, something that improves the health, but as a rule, they're not going to splash out and splurge. Venus in Virgo archetypes are super hard workers. They're really good co-workers, and they shine when they're at work. And some of the sort of needs that you're going to have in a job is, of course, something that allows you to use your intellect and allows you to communicate and allows you to use your mind, but something that doesn't keep you still in one area, because I think with the Virgo energy, that sort of slightly nervousness and anxious vibes that can come with it, being able to get up and move around and physically release some of that energy, I think is very, very useful. But a job that offers progression, something where you can do better and do more. A Venus and Virgo archetype will walk into a job and within the first 5 months, for example, will have probably changed many different processes of how that job's done, because they're like, why are you doing it like that? We can do it like this. They will get a process and order in place. They're going to like to work somewhere where there's hierarchy and structure, because they get that, they understand that. They are a consistent person at work as well. You might even annoy some other people at work just because of how efficient you are, and you make work look easy compared to other people, but not everyone can be as detail orientated as you. But people will rely on you at work because they will see that your skill set, you're such an efficient, trusted worker. Let's have a look now at some of the roles that would be suitable for a Venus in Virgo archetype. Of course, I have just pointed out some of the other factors that you need to look at when looking at a real career choice, but let's just have a look at some of the general types of jobs that could be suitable for somebody with this placement. So being a dietitian or a nutritionist, anything to do basically with health and wellness, it's the 6th house. Being a dentist or a surgeon, again, that whole dentist thing is to do with health, isn't it? But the precision and care that you need to be a dentist and to be a surgeon, that's Venus and Virgo all over. Being a beautician, the reason why I bring up beautician is because where I go for my local treatments, for any beauty treatments, I've been going to the same places for years, I've managed to sniff out the Virgo workers there, because they're the ones that just do the best job, quite simply. They get what I want and they want to do what I have asked for, and they want to do a good job. So I'd much prefer a Virgo beauticianist working on it, because they're going to take time, they're going to take care with me. Anything to do with law, actually, especially if you've got some Libra energy, but just the attention to detail that's needed really in law. Anything to do with your hands, sculpting, ceramics, because Mercury, Gemini also very similar, is linked with the hands, being very, very good with the hands, dentist, surgeon, those fiddly little tasks. Being a nurse, a vet, a health practitioner, working with children in some way. Being a researcher, Venus in Virgo are top-notch researchers. Being a writer even, because it is Mercury communication. J.K. Rowling had Venus in Virgo. Even having your own cleaning business or something to do with hygiene, because Virgos have got cleaning down to a T. Being a data analyst, being a project manager, anything sort of like that you could be so good at. And also, when I was thinking about this video, something that popped up in my mind from about 16 years ago was, there was this guy who did this really, really bizarre thing. So, you know, a needle, a sewing needle that you use to sew clothes with, obviously, and the little hole where you loop the thread through at the top of the needle, he used to make art inside that little hole, and used to tell stories about how he'd be sitting there late at night, spending hours and hours sweating profusely, concentrating. Now, think of the level of detail and precision you're going to need to do to sculpt something within the eye of a needle. WTF, like that is niche. And so I did a little bit of research on it, and I thought, I wonder if this is like more of a thing now, because this is just from somebody that I knew from back in the day. But so I had a little look, and there's a guy called Willard Wigan, if I think I'm correct, and I thought I need to look at his birth chart. Clearly, when's his birthday? Because that to me just screams out Mercury. And when I had a look, he was a Gemini Sun, Gemini Mercury. His Venus might have also been in Gemini. I can't quite remember. Don't hold me to that. But his Jupiter was in Virgo. Look at that, the most detail-orientated thing. Very creative as well. So they're just some of the few things that could look at that might be suitable for Venus and Virgo archetype when it comes to work. So let's finish up now and talk about progressions and transits, because for some of you, not all, at some point your Venus will progress into Libra, which means your love language will change. You'll have different expectations when it comes to what you want in your relationship. You might become more extroverted when it comes to your personal relationship. So it's always important and interesting to know, have a look in your chart, where are you in terms of your secondary progressions. And then also transits. Transits are happening all the time around us. Yes, it's good to know what's going on in the birth chart, but it's also good to know what's going on in the sky right now. And you've always got transits going on that might be transiting past your Venus and activating different things, or they'll be in a different house that could be square to your Venus or trine to your Venus, and are just influencing and bringing to like other areas of your chart. So it is also good to be very aware of transits too. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. That was my video on Venus in Virgo. If there's anything that I said that you liked or could relate to, then drop me a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then of course subscribe. Of course, if you found anything useful in this content, come along with me in my journey through YouTube. I'm trying to get through this algorithm that's real out here. And coming up in my next video, we're going to be talking about Venus in Libra. So I'll see you there.